Okay, I think we are live. Okay, so um, I just had an idea, and I thought, why not just stream it live? So the idea is, so I've got this Raymond AI orchestrator, and that is, so here's my cloud usage. I have Raymond is AI orchestrator, and the way it operates is it uses a folder full of Markdown files as the workflow, and it's sort of like a finite state machine that will transition from one state to another. And what I was thinking was instead of having it operate on a folder full of files, what if I could zip it up into a zip file and um, have it operate on that as if it were a folder full of Markdown files. So I have a few examples um, in where is it? Um, Workflow samples. So this is one where and I've got it checked out here. So if I go to, I don't know what I've got going on here. Work uh, beads workflow. Okay, yeah. So here's some workflow samples. So BS work is one where first you start, check for work already, claim an item from the issue tracker, do the implementation, and then check to see if there's any improvements that can be made. If so, then fix them and check again. If there's not anything worth fixing, um, if nothing was fixed because everything is good, then state transition into commit. And then commit is look at conversation history, commit, don't mention Cloud Code as a co-author, and then push to the remote. So this is an example of a workflow. Um, Now, what if so recently I added a feature where, because often sort of as a convention I've been using is the entry point to a workflow is one underscore start.md. Um, I don't know, that's just kind of something I've been doing. So I recently added a feature where if you specify the starting point as a folder instead of as a file, then it will look for one underscore start.md in that folder and then go from there. And now I'm thinking, well, if it were a zip file and you specify the zip file, it could mandate the convention where it will start from one underscore start.md inside that zip file. So anyway, that's I just had this idea. I thought, well, let me try doing it on stream and see what happens. Okay, uh, so I have this agent in Docker thing where I can do cbash and it will spin up the container, and because I like to do the development inside this container. Uh, okay, and I can do multiple bash. Where am I here? I don't know. I'm over there. Okay. Mm, okay. Yeah. And this agent in Docker is already checked in. I don't know. I'm just not that good at Docker files and stuff, so I had a AI help me set that up. So okay, now uh, I have a workflow. I have a few workflows that are um, so okay. So I have in my container, I have Raymond and Raymond edit. So this is the one where I make edits and commit, and then I pull and I push, and then from Raymond I pull, and then that's the one that is actually running. So I'm not running the one that's also um, I'm not executing the one that I'm also modifying. And so anyway, so Raymond git status on feed list feed title bar feed title bar plan. Oh, okay. So this is a kind of an old stale. Um, I added something where this title bar will change um, as a function of what you're doing. So uh, anyway, so I made it so that when you're running Raymond, it'll put the state that is currently operating in there. So I'll go to Raymond edit, and these I will move to my old retired folder. Oh, okay. Oh, the other thing is beads. I have a beads server that is a client server, and if I do a BS list, I need BS token list token ABC13. No, set export BS token equals ABC1223. Okay, BS list. Okay, now it can't. Uh, so the beads I run on the server, I run on the host, and then the Docker container I connect to it. So I'll go over to the start a new terminal. Actually, I can run kind of anywhere. But anyway, do I have a? No, I don't have one here. Anyway, so I get BS um, serve. So BS serve token ABC. What is it? Okay, so now from here I can do BS list. Okay, nothing going up. And then from my on this one I have a dashboard. Um, localhost, right? Beats dashboard. Nothing running. Okay. Um, this one is pretty boring. I'll move this out of the way. Okay. Now I have in my workflows, I have a workflow that will take a feature and then expand it into a more fully formed feature. So I can start with like a one sentence thing and expand it into the full description of the feature, convert the feature into a plan, convert the plan into beads, and then execute the beads. So I'm going to go through that kind of workflow. Starting from Raymond to edit, I'm going to say new text document. No, I'll do it over here. I'll do um, touch zip feed MD. Okay. And from here, I will edit and I will say I want Raymond to be able to operate on a zip file as if it were a folder full of markdown and shell scripts. Um, when operating on a zip, when given a zip file as input, it should detect that it's a zip. It should detect it and use one underscore start and be within the file as the initial state. Everything else should work the same as if it were a folder, with the exception that shell scripts must be extracted and to a temp location in order to run. So I'm assuming, I think, that if you have a zip file with a shell script inside the zip file, you can't just run bash on it, that you would have to extract it, run it, and then delete it. The markdown files are just read by Raven, so that should read from, yank it out of the zip file, should be the same as pulling from a folder without having to expand it into a temp folder or anything like that. I would prefer not to have to extract the entire folder, the entire file collection to a temp folder without, I prefer not to have to extract the entire collection to a temp folder. Okay, so now I'm going to do Raymond and I'm going to launch the feat develop workflow. So I'll do Ray input zip file / workflow samples feat develop. Okay. So the way feat develop works is, so it takes result, which is the input, which in this case I've passed zip file feat.md, and it will load the file and then go to the next state, which is analyze. Analyze is basically look at the feature document, check for inconsistencies, internal contradictions, mistakes, and ambiguities or incompleteness. So you can underspecify and it will kind of fill in the gaps, make choices, uh, document those choices, um, and then give you a human prompt that the human then goes and edits and says yes, no, or whatever. That's kind of uh, kind of a not a great user interface, but it's a way to get back feedback from the human. Um, so um, so this for issues or for underspecified areas or questions, I find it a lot. I find it much faster for the AI to make a choice, document it, and then I'll check it and say yes or no and give a correction, rather than having it interrogate me with question after question after question, which kind of I'm answering questions after questions, and that is not very time efficient for the human. So so what's it going? It's doing tool call error. I wonder what that's about. Huh. Tool call. I don't know what that's about. Um, okay, so it's writing human prompt. Go ahead and close this for a minute now. Okay, so this prompt.sh is waiting for me. So going back here, go to human prompt. Okay, now brief and leave several important decisions unspecified. Well, idea is clear, but development implementing would have to guess at several key behaviors. Some of the issues are found. Scope dir is currently a file system directory path. The zip changes that fundamentally. Yeah. So just for background, right now, when you, uh, if you're in one of these markdown files, you can only do a state transition to other files within the same folder, and that so it prevents you from accidentally, someone prompt injects into dot dot slash whatever, and then you're in some other folder, and you get kind of out of control as far as what the state transition is. So one folder is a scope for what state transitions are possible. I don't know why this is ambiguous. The file load prompt does pass scope file name. Opens it with op script scope dir current state, pass it with real file system path to run script. Supporting zip without extracting fully would require an abstraction layer that intercepts all file reads. What? Um, partial extraction. Virtual file system over the zip that intercepts all file reads. Oh, no, hang on, can I collect? Okay. I don't want the, I would prefer if Rayman did not extract all the files and just used it and just extracted the individual pieces on demand. And you say all file reads. This shouldn't be too hard. into memory for markdown to temp script for shell script. Shouldn't be too hard. It seems simple. And yes, the scoping would be to the zip file. I don't understand what's hard about that. What happens to the temp directory when the workflow finishes? 2. Only shell scripts are extracted to a temp location, and only the one being run and only command. Oh, if you have multiple, ideally they would be cleaned up after the shell script runs. Shell script completes. And not after the whole workflow finishes, but it could be a problem if multiple workers transition to the same shell script. So it could be flexible on that. Okay, number 3. Zip detection, how is it triggered when a zip file is input? Yes, 3. Yes, a zip extension detection is enough. 4. What is Sculptor? What is the Sculptor exposed to running scripts? Scripts get Raymond state dir and Raymond state file environment variables pointing at Sculptor. I don't think they need that. Scripts get Raymond state dir. I don't think they need that. Let's, and this feature may have been ill conceived in the first place, and it's not used by anyone. Let's remove this feature and let's remove this feature for simplicity. Okay. The environment variables. Simplicity 5. What is the working directory? Scripts can run with a custom CWD. The working directory for script execution the working directory for script execution should be the Raymond directory. Should be the same as it would have been the shell scripts or simply in another workflow directory. The shell scripts do not generally exist in the same folder as the Raymond run directory, so it shouldn't matter if they are in /tmp/ instead of the s work. 6, zip file content, so directories inside the zip supported. Um, User, it is okay for the files in the zip to reside in the width of the zip file, or, and it is also okay if the zip file contains a single folder and the files are in that folder. When creating zip files, it is sometimes confusing regarding whether the files exist in the root of the zip or within a folder within the zip, and it should support both. It should detect which is the case. Other arrangements if the zip contains multiple folders or files and folders or deeper folder structures, and that is an error with multiple folders or files and folders or deeper folder structures, and that is an error, and Raymond should abort. There's an error message. Seven. Okay, what are we doing? Error handling for malformed or invalid zips. Featured document does not mention what should happen if the zip is corrupt, empty, or lacks concern. 7. Yes, it should abort with an error message if it does not contain a start or some folder one start. Workflow resume with zip format. Workflow state stores scoped.dir as a string. On resume, Raymond reads this path to find files if the zip was extracted to a temp directory that no longer exists. Resume would fail. Resume should work with zip files. Perhaps the scoped.dir could be a zip file instead of having to be a folder, and this would be a nice way to generalize the workflow identifier. The workflow generalize the path to the workflow. The minor notes. Okay, I'm going to say human response. Document minces Markdown and shell scripts as zip contents. This matches existing model exactly. No new file types are implied. Yes. Existing everything stored with the same folder is a good constraint. Limits scope. No new workflow features. Just new implement method. Yes. Document contains no implementation detail. It's appropriate. Yeah, yes. Okay. Okay. So now, when I delete this composing, then it triggers the response. So what's it doing with the document, I guess, also? Zip file feet.md. Okay. Oops. Okay, so it's updated this. Zip structure flat. Single folder. Exactly one top level folder within the zip. Raymond detects which layout is in use automatically. All any other arrangement. Okay, initial state. When you put a zip file, it looks for one start among the workflow files. If one start is not found, Raymond aborts with a clear error message. File loading. Markdown files read directly from zip into memory when needed. No temporary file is created. Shell scripts extracted to a temporary file on disk when the script is about to be executed. The temporary file is cleaned up after the script finishes. If multiple agents transition to the same script concurrently, each may get its own temporary file. Yeah, that makes sense. So then it's, now does the name of the shell script, I guess when you write your shell scripts, you have to not be sensitive to the name of the shell script. If that's even, scope and scope. It's a path, that's how Raymond loads to look inside the zip file, including on resume. Script execution environment, working directory for, did it update again. Working directory for the script execution is the same as it would have been for scripts in any other workflow directory. It says orchestrator's working directory, not a special location derived. The working directory for the script execution is the same as it would be for scripts in any other workflow directory. It is the orchestrator's working directory, not a special location derived from the zip. Following conditions, abort Raymond with a clear error message. Okay, all right, good. Human prompt. Let's see what feedback we got. Okay, significant issue. Removing Raymond seater will break existing scripts. Okay. Oh, there are test cases around this. Okay. My assumption, these. Removing Raymond state dir. Yeah. Okay. Raymond state dir. Wait a minute. Are we talking about? Okay. Raymond. I am sure that I want to live in Raymond state. What was it? Raymond state file. Workflows are should not this feature should not have been added in the first place. The workflow files markdown and shell should not have been accessible. Should not be part of the processing akin to a Harvard architecture. If some of the test cases and documentation uses these variables, then they need to be moved. variables were unused. They're clearly in use. They're not. Which is to keep. Yeah, no. We, for zip place workflows cannot mean use when it is it. Right, right, right. Yeah. Please correct me if this interpretation is wrong. The zip feature doc should not include it. We will remove these variables as part of the zip feature implementation. So this feature contains both aspects, adding zip and removing environment variables. Okay. Minor gaps in assumptions. A, what happens if the zip file moves or is deleted during a workflow that was resumed? Minor. A, this creates an error the same as if the workflow folder had been removed. B, if are kept variables are not kept. C, zip structure detection. What about empty zips or zips with only non-workflow files? Yes, this is an error. D, files at root and inside a folder simultaneously. If it has both, then it's an error. This resolves ambiguity about what is right. It can't be ambiguous. E, oh, that's it. Rest of the document. Document otherwise well specified. Okay. Hit that. Save. All right. Okay. So now it's going to take that and update my zip feature. Okay. Zip structure, initial state, file loading on demand, not upfront. Scope and sculptor. Document looks solid. One more check. Document's in good shape. Okay, let's see what it has for human feed. Oh, okay. Minor observation. Status display label. Command print scope directory. Dash dash status scope directory. When scope directory is a zip file path, the label scope directory will technically be a misnomer. Expected one argument. Status. Oh, ID. Scope directory. I see. Instead, scope directory. Just say workflow. Scope. Two. Scope removal document correctly notes that existing test cases are Must be updated. Affected files are bad file counterparts, plus authoring guides, sample workflow suite. What changes but not which files? Appropriate for a future document, implementer can find them. Okay, 3, zip file versus zip archive, tech terminology. These mean the same thing, slight variation is fine. Okay. We'll just do one more round of edit. Workflow scope. Okay. All right, so I'll pick this up and I just got a text or something. Okay. Workflow scope. Status displays workflow scope rather than scope directory when the input is a zip file. Okay. All right. Human prompt. Okay. Minor issue. Conditional label. Let's just use workflow scope all the time. All right. Yeah. Oh, Francesco 07. Okay. It's updating again. Okay. Human prompt. Well specified. Leave it empty. Notes for the implementer, not issues. Okay. Okay. Save that, and then it says it's done. Okay. Now there is. You see, now it didn't change the. I guess I changed bash. Yeah. Anyway, that's just found out. Okay. Now I have another workflow that is convert features to the feature document to the plan. So now I'll do Ray workflow samples feed input zip file feed.md. So what this should do is take my zip file feed.md document and convert it into a implementation plan. So feed plan, let me close these other guys. So it'll read the feature document. And so this is kind of just gating so that if you don't specify it correctly, it'll bail out. Once you successfully read it, create under same file name underscore plan dot. So it'll create zip. Well, it hasn't created it yet. Zip file feed plan.md. Okay. After it does that, it will draft a plan. Your job is to plan, not to implement. So this is so it's basically a prompt that says take the feature, create a plan, and then review the plan and see if there's anything that needs to be fixed, or if there's a better way, or any kind of improvements or anything. And if so, fix it. And if if you don't see anything wrong, then terminate. And so that's all this is. So create the plan, review the plan, look for missing steps, dependency violations, cover all this, fix any issues meaningful, and then check convergence will, if check the previous step, was anything fixed? If something was fixed, then go back to state three and check again. If nothing was checked, um, then terminate. It's basically what this is. So it's basically like one prompt, or you could just keep typing on this. Now, one thing I found was um, I was using this workflow, and one thing that would happen is it would it would see the plan. It would mention pieces of code in the plan, like, oh, the implementer is going to want to do something like this and give a short snippet of code. And then when it would review over and over again, those pieces of code would grow larger and larger. And so the plan would sort of evolve into a overspecification of the plan where it would contain a bunch of code and kind of turn into the implementer should put this chunk of code here and put this chunk of code here and put this chunk of code here, all as part of the plan, which is not what the plan is supposed to be. And so I said, okay, add a bunch of stuff to stop this from happening. And so it's like that's why there's this reminders as far as don't turn it into a implementation. The implementer, assume the implementer is competent and from the plan can um, do the implement, will have context of the code available to make the implementation. So that's the reason for all this kind of reminders about this stuff. And these workflows are all available in my repository on workflow samples. So Vector 7.6 workflow samples has these. So um, and maybe you start getting zip file. So anyway, maybe there could be a case where you would specify a URL of a zip file and a hash, and it would pull the zip file, like a remote skill kind of, not really a skill, but a remote workflow, and then it would be, yeah, I don't know, it'd validate the hash against the zip file and then just use it on the fly, or without having to go, separately go pull the. Um, so this one doesn't take any human input. It just cycles until it decides that it's done. So zip file feed plan.md. Okay. Oh, this is okay. Remove Raymond state to Raymond state file. Okay. Introduce zip aware file access abstraction. Create a dedicated module or clearly scoped set of functions that encapsulate all zip specific file access logic so that load prompt resolve state and script execution can delegate zip operations to a single place rather than scattering zip logic throughout the codebase. Makes sense, kind of like a abstraction layer. Well, that's exactly what it's saying, abstraction layer. What must be done? Decide on detections. Convention. Scope value ending in zip means the scope is a zip archive. Convention must be documented clearly. So I guess, so what I was imagining was on startup, the Raymond program would know whether it's a zip file or a folder. But what it's kind of talking about here is the workflow scope is a string. And then on demand, when it goes to load it, it goes through an abstraction where it's instead of loading uh, scope folder name, file name, it's string uh, string and file name, and then it would detect it each time, kind of. Layout detection, file existence, file listing. Okay. Environment, keep this test suite clean. And okay. Extend file loading functions to support zip scope. So wait a minute. Zip file aware file access abstraction. Extend file loading functions to support zip scope. Okay, so it's converged. It's gone on a few rounds and decided this is a good plan. Phase 5, extend CLI start command to accept zip input. Phase 6, validate zip availability and resume during execution, update status command display, test coverage audit and gap filling, update documentation. Okay, now my next workflow is plan to beads. So this takes a plan as input and produces beads. So I will do array workflow samples plan to beads. Input is zip file feed plan.md. Is that it? I think that's it. Okay. Extensili. And this all makes sense to me. I think this is fine. Allow Raymond start path.zip to create workflow from a zip file with full validation at startup in the start command handler after parsing the input path argument. Add a check for the .zip extension if detected, route to zip specific initialization logic rather than the existing directory initialization. I guess you could make it so that what if a zip file name contained the hash, would be a pretty long file name, then when you refer to it, it's got kind of a integrity built into the name. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Okay, so exploring the code base. Okay, so now in converting plan to beads, okay, step one is it just basically gets the file name. Step two is review the implementation plan, determine whether the plan involves modifying existing code base. Yeah, okay. Explore the specific integration points the plan describes. Stay focused, explore only what the plan actually refers to. So the idea is if you have a humongous code base, you don't want to generate a research document that's going to flood the context. So just kind of do something somewhat targeted. And then, so do the exploration and then generate generate the beads list so there's kind of a so I mentioned it as part of the plan generation. It's bad for it's bad if the plan contains too much code, but when it comes to the actual beads, I do want them to have some appropriate level of context around what code they're intending to modify. And so it's kind of a tough balance because I don't want the beads to overspecify the implementation, but I want them to be able to talk about, this file is going to have to be extended to, or this class needs to be extended to have this kind of function, for instance. So the idea is, so it's already two steps where the plan is converted into a text document that describes all the beads, and then the text document is then used to generate all the actual beads. And so in the text document, the idea is the research goes up front that has some of the code context for what the plan is going to be modifying. And then the beads themselves can refer to that and contain little chunks of code. So that's that's the way it is now. So when it generates the so this just does research and pulls it into the context. This one is first is notes about the code base. So this is talking about what code already exists, where the integration points are going to be, and then the second part is actually all the beads. And so the beads can have some amount of code reference in them. Aim for beads that can be tempted without needing structured. So, and the reason this came about was one of the earlier runs I did. I was, um, you know, I, the plan had bead number one is research the code base and figure everything out. And then number two, go, based on the research that you did, go do this and that and the other. But beads actually run in separate context windows, so they're not, they can't have codependencies in that way. So it's like, okay, well, the beads research, or so the beads generation needs to contain that research, rather than, otherwise the plan just created a bead to do the research. So anyway, so the research is part of the bead generation now. Each bead. So I'm aiming for 30 minutes to 1 hour of as a kind of um, size. I don't want them to be too big or too small. Maybe that's a little bit small. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what size is appropriate for the beads. I need it to be small enough that it'll, when it does the implementation and it cycles and looks for improvements and so forth, that it won't exhaust the context window. But anyway, so that sounded about right. Well, it's a guess. I'll put it that way. Okay, so generate beads list. So it should be generating beads list. Bead list. Okay. Okay, integration points. Okay, so it's got a fair bit of things that it's going to need to do. That kind of makes sense. All right. And then beads. Remove that. 45 minutes. Update sample workflows to remove it. About 20 minutes. Bead 3. So then it also has these dependencies, right? So bead 4, implement zip access abstraction module, 60 minutes. Okay. Placeholder. Oh, yeah. So the extend load prompt to support zip scopes. Okay. That's not that hard. Resolve state to support zip scopes. Resolve state. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Extend script executor to support. Okay, so review, analyze. And so it's merging bead 5 and bead 6. Update bead 7's dependency because they used to depend. Merge bead 10 into bead 9. Add zip availability, check and resume. Update status display. Okay, these are sort of independent. Okay, well, I think maybe, so, okay. All right. Maybe in generate beads list, because there's kind of a trade-off between, well, smaller and larger is worth thinking about. But if they're small but logically separate, then it's okay for, if they're logically separate, it's more okay for them to be smaller. I don't know. Maybe this needs adjustment in order to, because I don't know that I want, well, anyway. And fixed status label, like check zip availability check and fixed status label are kind of two unrelated things. But anyway, I'm not sure. Okay, update documentation for the zip feature. Okay, so bead 7 references bead 4, bead 7 has dependencies. Yeah, that's final verification. Okay. 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 Just gonna review again. Okay, so it decides this is converged. Now it's going to actually create the beads. Now I think this should be, so I recently added something to, um, I haven't created them yet, has it? Oh, add dash dash help, okay. Um, okay, BS add, all right, so this should start showing up, yeah, okay. So I recently added something where, so previously there was this, there was no such thing as not ready. You create a bead and it's automatically open. And then you would create the beads and create the dependencies. But now what can happen is if you're wanting to add beads while the system is running, there wasn't a mechanism to create beads uh, in a way that they couldn't be claimed, so that you could create them and then add the dependencies. So if something has dependencies while you're creating it, it could get grabbed by a worker. So now it can create it as not ready, um, create all the beads. Some of them are not ready, create the dependencies, then move the beads from not ready to open so that it prevents the items from being grabbed prematurely. So, and then I updated the workflow to actually generate beads in the not ready state, then add the dependencies, then move the beads from not ready to ready. But I guess since this one um, has no dependencies, it has no problem creating it as open to begin with. So this one you'll see has oh, it doesn't have dependencies yet because it hasn't been added. And then I think it's going, and then it'll edit this file to put the actual bead identifiers in here. I wonder if this could be a parallel. I don't know if there's any advantage to doing that, running parallel instances instead of sequential. I mean, it would be faster, but I don't know if that would be better. Hmm. I think it's probably more trouble than it's worth, but I think it's an interesting case of, so I guess what I'm thinking is, okay, this is slower than it could be. You could launch parallel instances in order to create these 10, however many beads we have. And by parallel instances, I mean multiple worker threads that are running. Um, there is a mechanism to launch, to fork uh, worker into multiple workers, but parallel worker, so beads is normally how parallel workers coordinate over not trying to do the same thing, or who gets what task. So that would be one one thing to um, that'd be one thing. The other is uh, you know when the other thing is forking and joining. How do you wait for the other workers? There's not really a mechanism right now, and so you'd have to contrive something like write a file work dot done, or work done dot text or something. And what happens if multiple, and then another worker could poll on waiting for all the work to be done. I don't know, it would get kind of weird, but it's interesting from the perspective of if I want the framework to have better handling and better capability in this kind of multi-thread, multi-agent, parallel agent kind of thing, how would that be? How would I change the orchestrator in order to have better support for that? Because right now there's no join. If when you launch multiple threads, you would have to, like I said, contrive something like write a done.txt and then poll on that or something. So that kind of sucks. Okay, so now it's editing the bead list, adding the bead identifiers in the, right? Yeah, so here we got bead identifiers added. And then after that, it should go back and add the dependencies. So right now, these don't have any dependencies. BS link, interesting, okay. B, BS link. So if I click on these guys, for instance, yeah, so now that here's blocking information. BS link ID blocked by, okay. All dependencies are set up. Now, all the, wait a minute. Oh, now they're all open. Okay. I need to add something where there's some kind of asterisk or something to show which ones are blocked and which ones are not blocked, or maybe a column, but it's just kind of like a small visual indicator. Um, anyway, all beads are correctly configured. Mark the final task complete. Task. Oh, to do right. I guess it made its own internal to do list. Okay, zip file. Plan. Phase 9 docs. Okay. All right, so it should be about done. Generate bead list. Review fix. Oh no, that's create beads, validate. Okay, so it's probably in validate now. Well, no, it's not. It's still in create beads. So let's create beads do. After all dependency bits set up, flip each node ready to open. 3-step sequence. Okay. So what's it waiting on? What's it doing now? I shouldn't have run out of context. Unless the LLM is being sluggish. All tasks completed. Okay, now validate. So it's going to do BS commands to get everything. All 10 beads are listed. Now let me inspect each bead's dependencies, verify they match bead list.md. Let me re-extract all the dependency info. Okay, looks like it declared victory. Okay, so now we have our bead list. Now, I could run parallel, but I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. I'm just going to run single threaded. Okay, my worker is BS work, so I'll do array. Um, okay. Um, okay. Yep. I'll just do array work flow samples BS work, and that will pull items from the issue tracker, do them, commit, push. I shouldn't have to pull, right? Yeah. Um, okay, those files, I don't want those to be committed, so I'm going to, it shouldn't commit those. It's usually pretty good about knowing that those are not part of the context, but they're not necessary now. So I'm going to say, I'm going to move these into another. Okay, so then I should just be able to run the workflow, and it should work. Okay. Check for available tasks. Claim. Okay. All right, so this one's under being worked on. So I could just walk away and come back, but I guess for the purpose of yeah, I could just leave and come back, but I think for our purposes here, I'll watch it and see what's happening. Okay, it's reading test scripts. I guess I can still do check, see what's going on. Oh shit, this Windows line ending. It's annoying. Oh. Okay. State dir. Yeah. Okay, that's straightforward enough. Pretty simple. Deleting some test cases. Checking that it's not in the environment. Okay. State dir. Yeah. More changes to the tests. Okay, I don't really care that much. That's removed a lot of. This never should have been part of it. Anyway. Update test debug mode. Yeah, I don't know if this is over specifying, but maybe not. If it's anyway, yeah, removing these environment variables is pretty trivial. It's just updating the tests. That's a lot of work. Very mechanical. I should probably have a. I don't have. I don't know where exactly this would go, but what I need is another workflow to reconcile documentation. That is, and I imagine it would be something like look at recent commit history and look at the documentation and see if there's anything that needs to be updated and then fix it. No mistakes or bugs. Okay, so what it did, it ran the tests. All tests passed, changes are complete. Check to see if what you did was good. Commit, git push. Okay, close. All right, so now this one's closed. Now if I do git ready, no, db list ready. Oh, now there are two things ready. So technically these could run in parallel, but it's, all right, so now if I look at Raymond commits, we've got just now update real state dir and state file parameters from build script event stops setting Raymond dir state file in the script environment. Updates the call site in the script executor and all affected tests. Added regression test to confirm the errors are absent. Okay. As far as tasks go, that's a relatively easy one. Authoring guide. Temp pull counter. Yeah, okay. Is there a temp? Okay. So what is it we're working on now? Remove from documentation. Oh, okay, yeah. Is that it? Okay. I'll let you go pretty quick. No fixes, errors, improvements. All right, so now it'll commit and push. Authoring guide, we saw that. Sample flows. What? Oh, it already committed. Okay. And then push. So over here, gotta commit. Oops, wrong one. Okay, 2 minutes ago. References now deleted Raymond state dir from pros documentation, updated environment reference table, rewrites persisting data sample. Okay. Now, next one, update sample workflow scripts to all this state dir stuff. This is kind of dumb. This could have been one task, maybe. I guess it's more efficient to, if they're not, if the tasks don't depend on the context of each other, then it's more efficient to separate them into separate tasks. A little more extra work for pushing and stuff, but yeah, I think, well, I wonder to what degree that would affect when I'm generating beads, I'll have to think about that because I want to, yeah, anyway, I'll have to think about that. So the question is, should I adjust the bead generation script to place more emphasis on the independence of, if, should I place more emphasis on not conjoining unrelated items into a single bead just for the sake of size? So two smaller beads that are unrelated to each other are preferable to a single bead that has both, even if the size is below this guidance of like 30 minutes. So like uh, check availability and fixed status label are unrelated items. Um, you know how this, it'd be nice if this rendered as Markdown. I could probably just throw that in. Make a new server, add visual for block items. Better rendering. Just rendering of Markdown. Anyway, oh, we finished. We're doing something else now. Implement zip access extraction module. Okay, so now we're getting into the meat of it. All right, their usage. Remove all references from sample workflow scripts. So this was from documentation, that was from workflow scripts. I guess it's okay that they're separate. Separate tasks, separate commits. What else? Okay. I guess could I do this in parallel? Bead server, rendering of Markdown. So what if I did um, um, visualize block viz block. This is small enough. It's small enough. I probably shouldn't go through this thing, but maybe it's interesting. I want a visual indicator on the dashboard to show which items are blocked. It should be minimal in terms of screen space and maybe an extra column with no header, so it stays very narrow, with a block emoji on those lines that are blocked. What do you think? Okay, now do Ray workflow samples feed up input is blocked. Okay, now it's going to tell me what it thinks about that. All right, on this side we are. Where are we? Okay, so it's still implementing that. Okay, it's still implementing that. So hasn't touched anything. I guess it's still researching. Wait, what's it doing? Conf test. Zip scope. What? Archive access operations needed for scope as a zip file. Okay, so not sure how that zip scope.py. So brand new zip file. Right, sorry, brand new Python file. Test zip scope.py. Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I wonder what this. I wonder what the tests did, or if there's a zip in the. Well, there's not a zip in the over here. Yeah, I don't know how that zip test works. Anyway. Okay. What the heck? Okay. Anyway, let's see what we got over here. All right. So they're waiting for me. Bead server view and prompt. Okay. More of a casual suggestion than specification. It raises a good idea, but at least other things undecided. Here's the gaps. Blocked is not just noting it for context. Human response. Okay. Oh, one. One. Yes. 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 Okay. Two. Oh, no. Assumptions. Which dashboard sections show the indicator? Okay. I guess only the open section needs show the indicator. What about not ready? Open. The open section, but the not ready should too. Well, no, not ready. As bead dependency network is built, it's nice to see the presence of dependencies. I guess, yeah. These are not blocked per se because only open items are really blocked, but for the not ready tasks, it indicates open or not. Indicates blocker that is not done. That is not done. B. What exactly triggers the indicator? Yes, at least one buffer that is open or not laid. Open in progress. C. What about beads blocked only through their parent epic? A bead blocked if its parent epic has active blockers. I assume the lock indicator follows this same rule, consistent with the rest. Yes. Okay. Column position. Leftmost. Yes. E. Empty cells. Yes. Not a requirement. Emoji choice. No header is clear and consistent with the minimum scale. Sorry. It's clear and clear. Let me get rid of that. Okay. All right. Okay. So this guy will continue. This guy is committing. What's going on? What am I working on? Okay, still working on load prompt. Raymond. I guess we got this guy. Prompts. Resolve state from zip. Okay, I'm not sure what that is about. It's doing tests in commit. Why is it doing tests in commit? That's weird. Okay, anyway. Why is it? So I think what happens is, it's extending the conversation with each of these. Well, most of the time when it does a go-to transition, it's extending the conversation with each of these. And so at some point here, if something earlier in the conversation left open the idea of, okay, run tests or something, then it, even though when I look at this by itself, it seems unambiguous, just stage, commit, uh, close the item, it's still got some residual memory for, and well, and that's why, it's doing check fix here. Um, but then it tries to do a go to five. No, why would it do go to five commit? Because it hasn't seen. Something weird is. Mm, something weird is going on here. Because check fix, hold on. Check fix has no mention. The AI should not be aware of 5 commit. If you go from 1 to 2 to 3, there's no mention of 5 commit. Now, if you go through a cycle, you go to check fix, you go to no fix. Now it says, okay, if it's bad, go to check fix. If it's good, go to commit. Then in the next go around, when it's doing um, check fix, uh, and it's been around the cycle, so previously in the history, it knows about the presence of 5 commit. But this one hasn't been there. It's just been start, implement, check fix, and now it's trying to do 5 commit. That is weird to me. And now 5 commit is, unless this is somehow out of sync. Unless this is somehow out of sync. This is something. There's a bug here somewhere, I think. Raymond, debug, workflow. What? What is going on? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 3. So how did we go 3 to 3? Unless this. Okay, I'm gonna kill this. And then I'm going to. This is interesting. I'm gonna say interesting. Interesting. Okay. Now I'm going to restart the workflow. It's going to detect that one task is in progress. Already a task in progress. Let's get full description. Okay. Now, what's going on here? This is oh, let me get a screenshot of this guy. Whatever. Okay, here's the history. Okay, no fix. 26, 27, 28, 29. So check fix. Ah, shit. I don't know what to do with this. It's too, this is kind of, I'm gonna have to do Claude Code in order to see. I don't know, maybe I just, I've gotten lazy and soft. Okay. Uh, implementation is already complete. 47 tests passed. Windows only test skipped on Linux as expected. Implementation is already complete. Here's a summary of tests in place. Thorough review of the implementation. Uh, let's also check this. Here are findings. Now move the list of files, import to the top of the file. Two things were fixed. Okay, now check again. Does file exist? Still gets still get used. File still used. Import is correctly retained. Nothing was fixed. One observation being unnecessary. Okay, commit. Okay. I don't know how that got. I don't know how that got stuck. Okay. Okay. How's this guy doing? Oh, prompt. It's waiting for me. Okay. Speed server human prompt. Document complete, well specified. Leave empty or finish. Assume no change. Create uses hierarchical list internally. Epics can have children, but the dashboard does not render child beads at all. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so that guy's done. Now I will do um, workflow samples, feed to plan, feed plan, um, input viz block.md. All right, so I'll convert that into a plan, which should be like one, should be super quick. Okay, so it's claimed the next bead. Oh, did I finish already? No. J8 extend script executor to support zip scopes. Okay. Okay. Oh, I can't make beads at the same time. There is a feature. I haven't tested it. Um, well, I'll wait. I'll wait for that to. Well, or I have another workflow that takes, so before I had beads, I used Markdown files. So this workflow, so it's like task1.md, task2.md, task3.md, no notion of parallelism or dependencies. You just run things sequentially, and it just picks up the task number.md, go implement it, it still cycles on, check for improvements and then runs, um, check for improvements and then commit everything, commit, push. Um, but that doesn't, that could work in, um, that could work. Or I could just say go, or I could just fire up Claude manually and then do it. Okay, what do we got going on? Dev script path, extract script, sculptor, current state. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay, check fix. It's kind of taking longer than I thought it would. Finally block only covers the run script. Try accept. Also check async mock. Okay, review again. Okay, all right, so this guy finished. Let's look at the plan. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. Jesus. All right, well, I'll just do this manually, I guess. Look at viz block md and viz block md for feature for plan and do it. Okay. Something was fixed again. Update again. Okay, I'll commit. And push. All right. Extract script to AD clean name temp file. Set the execution bit. Clean up temp file. Finally, okay. Directory scope execution is unchanged. Add tests. Oh, directory scope. Yeah, okay. Add tests covering. Okay. Are there any zip files in the test? guess it would show up in tests, test cases, test files. No, not yet. Okay. Anyway, next thing we're doing is CLI start command to accept zip input. Okay, that should be pretty, you'd think pretty trivial. All right, how's this guy going? All edits. I'm thinking, can I hot reload the Beans server after this visualization feature is done? But anyway, okay. So it's implementing this feature. Go build. Sure. Yeah, none ready. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Did we finish something? No, we're still working on this guy. Something weird is going on here. Because 2 implement doesn't know anything about 5 commit. Unless it's something with the console output is getting all weird. I bet that's it. I bet something with the console output is getting all weird. No, not like that. Because it did wait a while, and then, yeah, I think something is getting weird with the console output. is this it? No. 20 files. Okay. Okay. Anyway, this is okay. Anyway, no fix, commit. Okay. Okay. All right. How's this guy going? Visualization feature. I'll test pass. Summary of what was implemented. All right. Now I'm going to do my. All right. Good job. Check again. And then I think I should be able to, so here's my Bead server running on the host that is outside that Docker container. If I do cd, it's not that one, it's this one. No, wait, yeah. Okay. So after this guy finishes and he declares victory, then I will do a commit push on here. I'll do a pull, build, and then I should be able to take my server, stop it, and restart it, and then my dashboard should show which items are blocked. But before I do that, I use the restroom. I'll be right back. Oh, you can see my green screen. Okay. Let me see. This is okay. Okay, so what did we get? So on Raymond, we got CLI now accepts zip input. Okay, and on this one, we're still thinking. Jeez. Kind of annoying. Test summary, only test closed. The plan explicitly requires testing both closed and deleted. Okay. Active blocker accumulates all 3 iterations, beads into one shared store. It works, but it's non-obvious, worth splitting. Everything else is correct. Okay, so we fixed that. Rerun the tests. Oh, somebody's doing something on beads. Oh, this guy finished another one already? Is he still? Yeah, I guess so. Resume now validates the zip archive is still present and readable before attempting to run it. Oh, okay. So I guess if you, well, I mean, it's going to fail right away because the first thing it's going to do is try to load a state. But okay. Kind of test coverage audit. Oh, okay, I guess. I guess okay. All right, everything fixed. Okay, good job. Now do it again. Okay. I guess closed items will not show. Well, closed items are unblocked anyway. So if everything closes, how am I going to see? Because this one right now is blocked. Oh, this one's not even blocked. So if I did BS ready, it would show it. Yeah. 3002 is actually ready. Okay, well, I'll have to. How am I going to see it? Well, I guess it's too late. No, I'll see it on the next time I do this. I guess this is slow because the Python tests, or the tests do some invocations of Cloud Code in order, or invocations of Raymond in order to do that. I'm guessing. I guess I could search for something I think is changing the console to hide characters. Maybe some weird sequence or something. So during the state transitions and monitoring of the cloud instances, it goes silent for a while and then resumes in some other state. Where scan, analyze code and see what might cause something like this. Okay, so just for clarity here. So up here, it does start, impl, and then it went silent for a while, and it like took like a couple minutes, and then it started saying transition type 5 commit is not allowed. Now 5 commit happens when it goes in a loop, and then second time around it knows that, oh, there's this state 5 commit. Let me just transition to that, um, which is not allowed, and so then it complains about that. But it shouldn't be possible. So I think so that leads me to conclude what's happening is the console output is getting suppressed somehow, not going anywhere. Anyway, console is being broken somehow, and then it's resuming and it's okay. And now I'm seeing these, so there are some hidden things that happened in between here. So I'm asking Claude to go look for something like that. Visualization feature. Okay, one issue. E2E in progress test correctly bounds the section after the header, but the unit test uses HTTP closed as its boundary. In this test, there are no closed bounds, so closed start meaning it's blah, blah, blah. Okay. One real issue fixed. Okay. Anything else? I'm ready to just say, okay, you're done, but I want to try. I don't know if I'm in, because Sonnet 4.6 has high thinking and medium thinking. I don't know if I'm in high mode. Ooh, makes it slower. Yeah, it's getting an answer. Uh-oh. Okay, looks like I gotta go. Um, anyway, I'll see you guys. I guess check GitHub to see how these turned out in the end. All right.